Ring of Dame Thardween, Book 17. Fetters break as Ioland wakes. Blood, the liquid of life, the pounding heart sends life to the far corners of the body and nourishes the soul, water and mead. It warns, it aches, it burns with rage and passion. It is power. Blood is the first currency which the fallen man discovered, for it was easier to spill blood and swear blood than it is to hold true in faith. And throughout the wounded world blood flowed and was freely traded as cruelty between fellows ran across creation. Debts built between the tribes of man that needed settling often and with malice. But when truth came at last to the earth, these debts began to be settled, and men were set free. Yet still a piece of that hate remains among men, and violence is the easiest path to taking what one desires, and spills that first treasure over the earth as everything is thrown back to war once more. Long was the youth in resting. The wound to his head pained him greatly for weeks, and he could do little but command his warriors to their tasks while lying in bed, warmed by a fire and bearskins. The good monk Victor tended to the wound and calmed him when his rage rose, and he demanded some cruelty in revenge for the pain he lived in. The brothers Ethelred and Eadmund, among with Halvvar and Egil, led the warriors in raids to harry the Daona, raids which killed sea raiders and burned their farms. The Jarl was enraged and fearful for his daughter, who he thought dead or shamed by his foe. Terror he sowed across the land given to him, and in farms and villages death was known as the warriors and berserkers came and took as they desired. This was not the only trouble set upon the eastern part of the isle, for a dark band began to slaughter there as well, digging up graves and leaving the dead to rot beneath the sun. As a living terror were they. Few survived their coming. Their wake was blood and ash and shame. Yet all of this was beyond the power of the wounded Domhnall to fix. Health came to Domhnall slowly. After weeks of agony he was able to walk unaided, though with great effort, and the frequent pain which racked his mind had passed with only rare moments of sharp pain. As soon as his health came back to him, he began to train his skill at arms, that he would never again take a wound. When he was not training for war, he was commanding his warriors from his bed. One day as he rested, the woman Therdis came to the bedside, having stayed in safety since Domhnall had spared her life, given rights in the faith by the good monk Victor. The room had been alive with discussion of where the brothers should lead men and how to discover the dark band with Halvvar's warriors, but when she entered all talk died. Slowly she came to the bed, never taking her eyes off the warrior who laid there, as though he would suddenly rise and pronounce doom on her once more, and kneeling beside him she took his hand and spoke to him. "Warrior, I know that you are pained greatly by the coming of my people to this isle. No skill with the blade do I have, but only a fool cannot see the war which is waged between all people for the right to stand king of blood and ash and rule over a waste. Wide and green are the fields of this land, and in this beauty they must remain always, for there is nothing more important than the life which resides in a land. Afraid I was when your warriors began their ambush and slew my guard. Afraid I was when you stood above me with blade drawn, ready to unleash death upon me. Afraid I was that the dark gods of my people would strike out at me for turning away from them and to the light. Afraid I was, all these past weeks, that you would change your mind and bring about my death. But afraid I will be no longer. When I saw you above me, your sword drawn, I felt my soul tremble, alive for the first time and unready to go beyond the veil of this world into the one awaiting. My lungs took each breath as though they had not tasted the air of this world before. My heart thundered, pounding its power with a strange joy, knowing that soon it would never move again. When death was so close, I discovered life in me. I spoke often with the man who spared my life, Victor Baptiste, and came to understand that he saw the life this way also. Indeed, his faith was set in it. That is why I asked for the rites. That is why I sit here before you, and not weep with terror as I hold the hand which once held my death. I forgive all that has been done to me, and though I see clearly that before you lies more war and blood before you rest, I beg of you to let go of shame and confess the sins weighing on your soul. Tightly he held her hand, and softly he began to speak. The weight on his soul which burdened him so told to all. I have been set a task which must be fulfilled if my people are to survive the storm which Malach saw so far off in years long past. He was a warrior of great skill and strength, father of Ioland, betrayed in the night by thieves. I am not so great as he, yet I am tasked with victory against his foe. What horrors I have wrought in this world, that I might one day stand victorious. 4 men I killed, Ioland by blood, drowned in a river and sent off to the sea without burial. 1 I see before me in my sleep, more and more as the years go by. Herald his name, and I slew him unlike the others. He was a cruel man, joining the biter for raid and theft, but no man is beyond redemption, no man is beyond love. He told me that he went to war because a terrible truth, losing all his faith that the Ioland would ever be free when the greatest of us lived in chains. He told me the truth of the isle, and learning it drove me to such despair that I killed him. I felt the life leave him with my hands. I killed him when I should not have, the first wraith to trouble me. I see so much blood in my future, and I do not want it. I do not have the strength to fight this war until its end. What hope is there for me? When I leave this place and stand before the Creator, all my crimes laid bare before him, what hope do I have for his mercy? I feel so lost before the wall of death which looms before me. Not one spoke for a time. Fetters wept, the brothers were pale, Halvard watched closely, and Egil sat down, thoughtful. Victor came to the bedside and placed the cooling hand of a priest to the fevered brow, marshalling his many thoughts before speaking at last. To you is set a challenge which no man of your blood has ever faced, a noble and selfless one. You fight to free your people from the cruelty of tyrants and of blades. Many people deserve just governance of their bodies by their king. This you will give, and just stewardship of their souls. This only we can provide. The war will end, and when it does you will stand as a man full, blood and sorrow coating your hand. Yet you will not be condemned at that moment. Time there will still be for you to make your repentance. Time there will be for you to take stock of your actions. For now all you must do is look into your soul and decide. Is your life better, should you yield and permit the tyrant to rule over you, that your blood lives in shame, or is it better served in fighting, in making peace where you can and offering your strength to the struggle against evil, to go to war but not to let it consume you? Fight, live, forgive, and when you forgive your foe, do not forget to forgive yourself also. These words he spoke at the bedside of Domhnall, and at their speaking a change came over the youth, plain for all to see. Color returned to his face, and peace lived there also. The next morning his wound was healed. His head was no longer racked by waves of pain. He could walk without need for rest. His health restored to him, he saw before him 3 problems, that of the Jarl, that of the dark band which troubled the east, and that of Ioland's suffering. War could he wage against the first. Hunting he could find that darkness which preyed upon his people. But he knew not how to reach Ioland and ease her suffering. A leader of a people in crisis, Domhnall knew he could not linger on that which he could not solve. He gathered the brothers and Egil also, placing the camp under the command of Halvard and Victor, who could lead well, and the four left the camp. North they went, out of the peninsula which is the land of the wee Agla, and into Ioland beyond. Hunting were they, searching for trace of the darkness which came and burned all to the earth, Aeolish and Daona alike. They went to those places where the darkness had come, where the trace of violence which had passed was revolting to all. No trail did those beasts leave behind, not even the keen eyes of the youth could find where they left to, and so their journey was one of watching tragedies, of the supreme indignities which men can bring to the world. What evils there are in this world. 2 weeks Domhnall searched and found nothing of their passing. Hope that he could bring easing to the land began to fade. At night his band would camp and speak to each other, and one night as they ate, the youth left the fire. He was saddened at their failure, that their foe was so skilled that they seemed to come with the night and vanish with the sun. Wandering the forest, but not so far that he could not hear their voices, he looked to the stars and wondered if they knew the sorrows of mortal men. He did weep, thankful that they shared their light with him alone in that moment, and as he watched, the stars grew brighter and began to flicker and dance. Light rose from the leaves, and fog swirled around him. She stood before him once more, her face a mask, and Ioland spoke. You have come far from thraldom, standing a free man once more, a wise warrior using the Pluchchara Gui Eolathalia to escape harm, and turned foes into friends. Now it is time for you to return this gift to me. You will no longer need it in your task. In its stead I am giving you the red stone, the heart gem, Arel Siloin Aila Okoro, red stone of the mountain's fealty, a gift which is the very heart of the Isle Malach, and in it set with my most powerful wards against darkness. In your coming days there shall be great need for this power. Under hill you will go, to a place where you do not belong. Then you will go to a cave where the bear dwells and test yourself against the darkness it weaves. If these trials you pass, then you will go to the island and the brook and make contest for the freedom of your people. These things I see clearly for you, for such is my sight now that I have lost other things which were mine from the moment of my birth. The youth lay the cloak which had served him well upon a tree branch, and this grew, changing its direction sharply until within reach of Ioland's hand. Then she pulled from beneath her robe a large red stone and laid it upon the ground. Domhnall did not move to pick it up, but spoke to her. A year it has been since I became a free man once more, and 5 since last I saw you. In that time I saw lands burn and people starve. I have seen death come in all twisted forms to the earth. Yet through all of it I was thinking often of you, on the pain you suffered. Your only blood, the Baith, have long planned their treachery, fearing that with the coming power of the good God they would be forced from the earth to dwell forever beneath the mounds. I know not what power they used upon you, nor how they fashioned you to their purposes, but I know that you suffer from it. It is not right that the high Telach of our people be held in chains, even as the Aeolish learn to liberate themselves. I will go beneath the mounds to face the Baith in those dark lands. I will return with a hope for you. Do not give to desperation yet. I will deliver you. Ioland turned to leave, but as she left, her eyes softened and her mouth, so often grim or stern, was set on the edge of a smile. She vanished as all the world dimmed and the stars became fixed again. Domhnall took the Arel Siloin Aila Okoro from the ground and wore it round his neck. Then he returned to his fellows. They spoke still of their failure and had not noticed the youth's absence. He sat down and spoke, for things were beginning to clear as he looked at them. We are going to the mists, to that sad land where fog lays heavy on the hillside, the hill of Hala where the past lays buried. I will walk into the Barrow Downs, and you will wait for me outside the fog. To the mound of Malach I will go, and into the land beneath. There I shall seek the Baith, and try by all strength to break the bonds which they have set upon the high Telach, that we might free that power from the chain set upon it. From there, if I live still, we will go hunting the darkness which we have sought, for at last I know its name. Some breed of foul bear is upon us, and we shall slay them all. From there we will have the power to face the Jarl in war open and see victory. The road ahead is long, and we will suffer in it. Egil spoke next, tightening the straps of his mail again and again as he did. Aye, we shall. I wish I was a sailor still, if this be the path set before us. The Daona learn young to fear our cruel gods. I would not willingly walk into that land where the dead are so restless. In my cold home we fear the bears, for if they can sow such destruction as we see before us, then we must fear them more. Indeed, though we sail a sea unafraid and can raid the weak for their treasure, though we have seen men of all colors bleed to death on our blades, we mighty sea raiders fear the bears. We have forgotten their proper name, for to speak it is to summon one by dark magic and threaten your lives. It is a battle I do not look forward to. Yet if we can survive these challenges, we will at last come to that which we deserve. Honest battle against a foe eager to refuse us what is ours by right. These days will be hard, but we will not stumble, for we are stronger than those pains which await us. The four went to sleep, and when dawn rose to mark the following day, it found them ready for their task. Quickly they went, crossing the Aglach Telocha at a run, moving at such a pace that none who saw them could form a response. Unchallenged were they. In 2 days' time they reached the hill of Hala and the fog surrounding. The warriors who followed him waited there on the edge of the mist, wearied from running so far so quickly. But the youth could not rest. He calmed himself and entered the Barrow Downs. The fog was heavy as he went, so thick that he could not see his hand outstretched. Carefully he walked, watching his feet, that they not step on rising grass of the howes which rose suddenly from the mists. The barrows were many and close together. All the people of the wee Idle Sol were buried there. Faces formed in the mist, anguished in their long mourning for that which was done to them. The wind whispered their wails as they began to throw themselves about him, churning and twisting with the faintest breath of the wind. They were tortured souls, angry at how their lives were ended, angry that their blood was ended, and that they were left unburied for a day while their killers feasted on their works. The youth wept as he walked past the writhing wraiths, imagining the pain they had suffered, and hoping that all those he had buried were not suffering so. Only the dead know the pain of death. Long was he in walking through the fog which lays heavy on the lands surrounding the hill of Hala, going slowly beneath the mounds and stepping around the wraiths of twisting smoke so as to not give further humiliation. The mist world grew dark as Monolith rose a solitary shape, larger than all others, and upon its sides no shade twisted. This was the hill of Hala. Domhnall knew that the barrows of Malach and Neola lay nearby, for he was told the tale of the sparrow when still a boy. They lay side by side, barrows larger than any other, for such was the greatness of their mortal lives. Walking from the edge of the hill of Hala to the barrows, the youth peered into the fog that he might discover which was the grave of Malach. Upon the left was a restless cloud. To the boundaries of the barrow it went, but was kept from leaving by some barrier. Against this barrier it pressed itself, before flying to another edge and lingering there. Upon the right sat stoic in his seat a faceless king, his form rolling smoke. To this barrow went Domhnall, and beneath the faceless king he spoke, standing before the great stone door of the barrow. Hail, Malach, high Telach of the Eolish, true master of the isle. I have come here for the sake of your daughter, for though she is high Telach of the land and master after you, she lives in chains, suffering in all hours. I know not how I might help her. The Baith who set these bindings on her are more powerful than I, and I may be going to my death, but it must be done regardless. Only in her freedom is there peace for us. King of the land, Telach of its people, Earl of its fields, master of its fate, the storm you feared is here. Your people cannot weather it unless the high Telach is freed, and she cannot be freed if her binds are unknown and unchallenged. Permit me into the world below that I might fight for her. The king of rolling smoke did not move from his seat, but slumped over, placing his hands over his face. The great stone door that was the entrance to the barrow opened on hinges unseen, and the wind rushed into the stale air below. Domhnall followed it. No tomb did he see inside, only a long flight of stairs made of darkest stone led into the world below. With a boom that shook the very walls of the earth, the stone door closed behind him, and all fell into silence. The darkness was complete, and only then did the youth remember that he had no torch with him. He tightened his shield and drew his sword, taking a deep breath of the air, which remembered still what it was to fly free over the flowers. He went deeper into the darkness. Long was his going, for the stairs twisted and turned, rose and fell without coming to an end, but ever in perfect darkness they went. Twice he rested, wearied by the never-ending stair. Twice he heard sounds, the scuttling of many feet upon stone, and the howling of a mad maw. And when he heard these voices, he fell to his knees in fear, praying with every fibre of his being that he not be ended by the monsters which caused those sounds. Both times he wondered whether he could continue down the path, to head toward the horror in the dark, unknowing. Yet both times as he looked pointlessly into the unwavering night, unhallowed screams echoing in his ear, and his muscles tight with fear, he felt a light on his heart. It was the warmth of high summer, the comfort of the hearth in deepest winter, the promised each spring of life unbounded, and the calm of a mild autumn. Each time he felt it in his heart, he stood straight and clutched tighter his arms, pushing on into the dark. How many days was his going he did not know. Hunger and thirst gnawed at him, but when he felt he could not continue, the comfort came to his heart anew, and he pressed on. Domhnall stumbled. Placing his wearied feet forward, he found there was no next step, and so he fell to his knees. As he did, he gave a great shout, for a sudden the world was lit with a pure white light, powerful as the sun in rising. Through his narrowed eyes he saw that this came from the Arel Siloin Ilo Okoro, kept around his neck by a chain, and which had rested upon his heart always. In the darkness of the other world it burst forth with the memory of the sun, that Domhnall fear not the strange land. In a great cavern was he, pillars of stone arching into darkness, and tunnels going on all around him. He became aware of a sound, not the horrid bellows which belong to the dark world, but the sluggish churning of water. Water, life to all things and respite from the gnawing need inside him. He scrambled to water's edge, peering into the churning darkness, but he could see neither the bottom nor the light which hung from his neck. Closer he lowered himself, knowing that the dark water would be a poison if he drank it, but also that he was certain to die without the drink. Yet as he lowered himself and brought his lips so close that his mind was consumed by the need to drink, light fell into the water. The Arel Siloin Ilo Okoro touched the river, and it began to shine with the light of that gift. Darkness was driven away and was replaced with bubbling blue water, which carried the light far downstream to shine forth wherever it flowed. Domhnall knew the water to be pure, and drank until he had no more want. Then he rested, and prepared himself for whatever evil lived in that dark land. Above him began to fly the flickering lights of the light flies, rejoicing in the clean water also. Few in number they were, flying above the river and throwing their light against the walls. He followed the light of the underground river away from the stair and into the land of gloaming. The pillars of dark stone continued on forever, as tunnels opened and twisted away into the darkness, labyrinthine, alongside him. Mists and fogs of foul air hung as clouds, but the water rushing through the land of night beside him cast light into the gloom, and he was not afraid of the darkness any more. He followed the river, its warm light his guide, as it ran between the broken stones and pillars, light flies gathering near water's edge. All the dark land was quiet. Silence unending lingered on the stones, and but for the tinkling of the river the youth would have walked only with his footfall to accompany him. Long he went through the silence, but he was not as weary from this travel, for the clean water guided him, and when he drank it took his hunger and thirst from him, nor did he feel the need for rest. The darkness deepened on the walls, and the pillars grew apart. Broken piles of stone lay on the earth, slowing the river as it tumbled over the rocks. The field of broken stones the youth named it, and he began to climb the rocks noisily to see where the river ran. Between the stones it dove, the light of the river shining through the cracks, and a growing number of light flies gathered to marvel at the light, before the river emerged on the other side of the field and continued its journey through the quiet land. As Domhnall stood atop the stones, looking ahead to plan his path across the field, the earth shook and the light flies scattered into the darkness above and quivered there as faint stars. Large was the beast whose footfall shook the pillars of the aisle, and ever closer it came to him. Unwilling to give battle in half-light, the youth leapt from his vantage and began moving the smaller stones from the river's path, that its light would shine steady about the broken field. Then he returned to his high place, pulling the Arel Siloin Isla Okoro free to swing from his neck. Not long did he have to wait for his foe. The beast came thundering into the field of stone, a twisted demon of pain. 7 eyes it had, and each a different color. Ash and fire and iron and blood and tears and death and heresy. 3 noses hung low over 3 mouths. 3 sets of pointed teeth smiled, gnashed, and grimaced. Its ears were that of the wolf, but overly large for its head. A thin and twisting neck connected to the hideous body, white, hairless, loose skin rolled and shook with every move, over 100 rella long. 15 legs it had, not ordered along its side, but jutting forth wherever they pleased. A green tail lashed back and forth against the pillars, shaking the earth. Every eye fixed itself upon the light and narrowed, and suddenly the youth found himself assaulted by a wave of fear and anguish. Backward he reeled, but never losing his footing. Yet after, the first wave of pressure eased, and he could stand without trouble, for the Arel Siloin Isla Okoro kept all darkness from him. He raised his blade in challenge against the beast and spoke words far braver than he felt. Beast of wandering night, be you the fiend or some other darkness, be gone from this place. Before you stands not a lost soul, but one earnest in its desires, here to bring light anew to the world above. I do not fear you, for I am faithful to the good God above, and know I have nothing to fear from the twisted wreckage which you are so long as I keep it. The wandering darkness snaked its way around him, that the entire body lay across the broken stones, resting its head that every eye could see him. The beast spoke to him through the smiling mouth, as the middle mouth howled and the leftmost wept. Smallest morsel wandering through lands of night, Be you pagan or faithful, what do you here in my lair? I wish earnestly to know if you worship still the many false gods, for then I might feast upon your flesh, your mind, and your soul. But if you belong to the good God, then I cannot touch you. I must test your soul to know its worth, and if you waver, then I shall consume you whole. I will break you with nothing more than the truth, unwavering, and if you stand still at the end, and do not wish for your ending, I will give you free passage through the realm of demons and monsters and Baith. Will you agree to this, or shall I imprison you here for all time until your soul breaks from despair? The beast's eyes never wavered from him as Domhnall prepared his answer. He asked the beast, "Tell me your name, darkness, and what promises you can give that your words are truth only, and I will agree. 3 times you may test me, but if on the 3rd time I am unbroken, you will permit me to leave here unharmed and tell me where to go to speak with the Baith. Give me these proofs, and I will agree to your challenge." The 3 faces of the beast broke into horrible sounds, wild laughter, mad cackling, howling mourning. After a time, the smiling face ceased its laughter and began to speak. "I accept your wager. Once I will speak with each mouth, every word a truth prepared to break you. Oh, how hunger can gnaw at me, I will enjoy consuming you. You can have faith that every word I speak to you is a truth, for I am part of the end of all things, ruin of the land above, and I vow here that should I tell a lie to you, I will take no part at all in what is my deepest desire. I am not the fiend, though I know the beast and thank him for his labors. I am sin, dragon beneath the earth, placed in the realm of the Baith by the good God, that when the hour comes and the trumpet sounds, I will be given every Eolish soul which has fallen from the righteous path. Until that day I will suffer unending hunger. My name is Cethil Walkathane, and your blade will cause me no harm. How dearly I desire to eat, and oh, how many have fallen since the day of the good King Malach. What wonders are these days of depravity, when men think only to stand above his fellows and not with him. My hunger will be sated by them. Tell me, boy, is the good God still good when he has placed me in his creation to feast on the souls who have failed him, to devour those without faith? Has he no love for the soul which must struggle in the world which he has made, which is so full of sin? Will he ever love you when you have caused so much death? What repentance can you have that will wash away that stain? If you are surrendered to me, that stone you wear about your neck will not save you. Tell me, boy, how is your faith now?" Domhnall watched each of the eyes unwavering and listened closely to every word the beast spoke, hoping to catch it in a lie. When the beast finished, he searched his soul and found he had not wavered in his faith. Smiling, he spoke. "A poor creature you are, which must endure the torment of the world for the promise of joys unending, when the good God makes his judgment over all things. Do you intend to break me by telling me the promise he has made you? All you have done is affirm the promise he has made to the world. And when that hour comes, I think you will have fewer meals than you believe, for I have lived my whole life in that painful world, and have not found a single person who has fallen to it. Since the coming of the good monks who spread his word to all hearts, I do not think a single soul has been in danger. Speak with your second-mouthed sunless dragon. I am unbroken." The smiling mouth began to cry, and the third mouth began to weep, so that the cave shook with their force. But the middle mouth ceased its gnashing, and spoke in a voice hardly concealing its rage. "Why have you come here, youth? I see clearly the taboos placed on you, the magic of the meddling Baith, creatures who enjoy placing themselves in the affairs of others. On your breast I see that part of the sunlit lands, named Arel Siloin Ila Okuro, which keeps all darkness from its wearer, a gift of the mountain to Ilulian High Telach, who then gave the gift to her love, the warrior Ethelwald, to spare him from the darkness placed upon his soul. She gave this to you, but why? It is because you have come here searching for a means to free her from the bindings. Wonderful. Do you know these chains set on her? I do. The echo of her screams filled every corner of this dark world, reaching even this place where the Baith fear to tread. Only she dared come here, because the magic in her knew no bounds. She was summer betrayed. The Baith knew that the coming of the good God meant their power over the land was ending, and that they would be confined to the darkness until the world was remade. Such fearful spirits are they. This world is not so bad. Besides, the lands they have claimed for themselves here are full of light and golden trees. How I wish to feast there. They took her from the world above just as her love was being judged by the good God, and in that moment of her deepest pain, they told her what they had prepared for her. She ran from the world above to hide from her pain, but she can run no longer, for they have taken her soul from her body, and that which is Baith and Eolish also, and keep it here in the world of gloom. She does not age, she cannot die, and she cannot live. She is trapped in the life she lived before all the magic of the Baith was placed into her. They will continue to walk in Ioland. They will continue to use their magic through her, and until the island is broken, she will suffer. They live free with the captured soul of one of the faithful, a child of their own blood. You have come here to learn how to free her, but I will tell you this now. No power of your body will ever spare her the pain. Only she can save herself, and you have wasted your time coming here to find the way to free her, and risked your soul in doing this. And all this was done without protest from your good God. The first mouth howled with laughter, and the third wept musically. The second mouth fell silent and resumed the wild biting. The 7 eyes sharpened, eager for his waver. Domhnall stared back fiercely, but the words of the dragon echoed through his mind and brought his blood to a boil. He leapt from the rocks and strode towards Cathil Waucathane, his blade readied, his voice raised in anger, bouncing off the stones. Worm, do not give yourself to lies, else when the day of judgment comes you will not have what you desire. The Baith betrayed their daughter, that they might live on in the world above. This may be true. The wise men of Ioland know it. Yet what you said, that I have no power to free her, cannot be the truth, for I am one of the faithful, and the good God will not deny me when my cause is just. How could he? There is a soul chained down here, you claim. Then I will find it and return it to its rightful master, and Ioland will be freed. There is nothing which stands before me. I will succeed. His echoing voice startled the lightflies hiding in the cavernous roof above, but the head of the dragon pressed closer, sensing something changing in his prey. The long, thin neck snaked over the rocks, the overlarge head skimming the stone, each eye large and fixed on Domhnall. A lolling tongue licked the lips of the smiling mouth. The grinding maw pulled back its lips, laying bare its dagger-like teeth. The weeping mouth stopped its wailing and began to speak. Really? You are the master of this place? You give command and the world shapes itself to your will? Tell me now, do you feel in control? You came to this place to challenge a powerful people, a people who cannot die and have magic which can call the world as they need, and all you have is a blade of iron. Look at your life, exile and disgraced son. You were wounded by her you planned to save, and missed the final battle of your people, where your father and mother met their ending. From there your home was burned, and you spent 5 years as a thrall. Your blood served those who slew your people. You have killed, though your good God commands you to love. You have threatened and broken oaths. These crimes you committed were done though you had faith in the good God. So why did you do them? Did you think murder and oath-breaking were crimes beneath the view of the Creator? Or else did you think there was so much pain in the world already that he could not see such small acts of petty cruelty? Better still, you thought that as your crimes were done for your people that they would be sacrosanct, as though any blow dealt to your brother could be looked on favorably by the good God. He was clear when he walked this world of rot, and you have violated his law. Now you come here and name me a liar, though I have vowed on the only thing I love, and named the good God witness to this. But if I lie, surely you would have received sign, if your God had power over his creation. You have not, and therefore I have been telling you the truth. You have betrayed the good God, and will fail to free the chained soul of Ioland. What weakness is in you, you who have failed so many times to bring even a parcel of peace to your people? Die. Do not ever go before the judge. He cannot give any choice but damnation. Why suffer those humiliations before the Creator when you could die here, hidden from the world, without shame? Circling, the dragon snaked ever closer until it pressed so near Domhnall that he could see his reflection in the terrible eyes. Its neck wound around him as he stood still listening to the words. No escape was there. Teeth long as swords flashed in the twilight as Domhnall thought on all the pain and death in his life. So lost in his mind was he that he heard not the roar of laughter, nor the wild howling, nor the wail which came from the mouths. How long had it been, perhaps his entire life, that the lies of the world had been whispered into his ear? Son of a Telach was he, trained for war from his birth, yet also taught that the truth of the world commanded him to stay his hand. The blood which he had seen seemed to pool about him, surround him, drown him. All the horrors which he had seen and all the horrors which he had done were there before him, no one death worse than another. The monk Victor told him that one day he would need to repent his wars, and the saintly monks which came to him in his dreams also. But could he repent when more of it lay before him? Could his soul be judged clean by the good God if he continued his path, knowing the death it would bring, but walking it anyway? All sinners who repent are worthy of paradise, but not those who return to their ways, and never those who confess their crimes but do not regret them. His soul was forfeit to the fiend. No joy would he have, damned for all his efforts. Those who deserved happiness placed in such suffering by those who were meant to guard them. The world so broken, creation was diseased. His mind stood ready to choose what would happen to his soul. The darkness in him pushed him to choosing an ending here, where none would learn his failure. The light could only protest as it grew so feeble inside him. Yet better it was to die in the darkness and reject creation and its plague. The good God had failed in making the world. Wavering, his body began to shake as his muscles learned his decision, unwilling to part from the world. Yet to die in such a manner, weeping and afraid, was beneath the son of Telach and an Eolish warrior. He knelt. The eager face of Cethilwagathane above him knew that soon it would eat, and reached his hand beneath the cracks in the rock, taking but a small mouthful from the river that ran beneath him. He drank quickly, preparing to say the words which would be his ending, but as he drank he felt light inside him, and a thought came to him. Did he regret them? Did he regret the death he had made in the world? The monks told him that all would be forgiven at earnest remorse, But they had not felt the life drain from a man, did not look men in the eyes until that living peace in there left forever. He hated the killing, but every death was a step in the long and twisting road to the freedom of his people, a prize greater than his own soul. Not a single death would he change, nor could he change. Not the death of them who raised him, nor of Harold, for each brought him further along the path. It did not matter that he would not attain heaven if it meant his people would live in safety and learn the path of truth unharmed. None but he could stand where he stood, facing the darkness alone. He would not place them here. He would repent, but not before the path set was ended and he stood victorious. Let the good God judge the man he would become, not the man he was that day. Let judgment come when he had freed his people and taught them the path to truth. Light flies began to fly low, braving the terror for him as stronger and stronger he felt himself. He would not break faith with his people, and he would not break faith with his God. Darkness was banished from him as the night is before the dawn, and he stood proud before the beast and smiled. The mouths fell silent, and 7 eyes raged at denial. The tail snapped and broke through a pillar of stone. The legs clawed and tore at the earth, but the youth was unharmed. Quickly the dragon uncoiled itself and sat upright, stretching to its full height. The youth spoke to the dragon, his voice unwavering. What the Baith have done shall be fixed. I will see to it. Ioland will be free of the pain which stands before her. You have battered me. This I freely acknowledge. But you have not broken me. My faith is not founded in the thinking that heaven shall ever be mine, but that it may belong to my people. I have faith that all shall be right in the world, with the world, ordained by the Creator, and have made real my works. There will be a day when I repent. There will be a day when I stand victorious over my foes, and my people live in peace, when I no longer must commit acts of cruelty to guard the people I love, and all violence is behind me. Move, you cannot harm me. Cethil Walkethane bowed his head and spoke from his 3 mouths all together. I shall move. The wager is lost. But before you leave this place, you must know that every word I spoke was the truth. You cannot free her. I see on you those taboos which she sets, but know that upon her are also set magical chains, chains which cannot be broken except by horrible apostasy and ruin. You go now to pain, but you are strong, and this will not break you. Seek not the virtues of the body, but find refuge in the power of the soul. It will deliver you. The dragon lay down in the stone field and watched as Domhnall left. The river ran clean still, winding through dark lands until they became not as dark. Light flies increased in number, gathering around the river and hovering above his brow. Mists and fogs hung in the air still, but they were not foul any longer. The faintest breath of wind carried through the silent halls. Shoots of vines struggled in the darkness, their leaves glowing weakly with golden light. As he went deeper, they grew larger and began to twist around the pillars, their light as that of the sunset. The leaves grew larger and their light stronger, until other plants of golden light grew from the dark soil, trees and flowers beside the silver waters. Soon he walked through a great forest of light, a forest without animals or sound, but where each leaf and petal was the beauty of dusk. Long was his going through that land, but no longer weary was he. Every breath he took was relief to his being. He continued in golden light until the river rushed into a clearing, perfectly circular, and at its center a burial mound raised. It was small, not the how of a mighty Telach, but humble, long grass growing over the sides. Domhnall approached this, his blade ready, not knowing what demon would call this home, his shield raised and his soul prepared to be tested. As he stood at Barrow's edge, they came to him. From the trees they melted, tall and robed in black and red shadow, red eyes shining in the gold light, their faces lean and angular. They were the Baith, those capricious people who live beneath the earth, whose needs are unknown to men, aiding and destroying men as they see fit, and on their strange faces was rage. The youth raised his sword against them, but they stopped halfway through the clearing, a perfect circle about the mound. She that stood closest to him had a clever face. Cold fury came off her as wind off the sea. The youth spoke. I know what you have done, that you forged the line of Ioland's great heroes, that one day they would fall into your hands to be broken. How cruel are you, that the child orphaned which you raised, your son's granddaughter, the red-yellow dawn flower, which has brought such light to the Iolish, be taken from the world which is her own, and raised in this cruel land. How often you tested that child against the demons and dragons of this place, until she ran free from you for the sake of one she loved. And when he died fighting the darkness made flesh, which they battled together, without your aid, you took that soul in pain and entombed it forever in the lands of her suffering. Never again shall the people of Ioland place their trust in you or make bargain, for pain is what you bring to even those you were meant to love. Forever after this day we shall place our faith in the good God alone and make no pact with you. Free her now, or I shall bring my sword against you. About the circle he went, waving his sword and threatening the Baith, but they did not move until he finished his speaking. Then the clever Baith witch spoke, her voice the sound of a building storm. Fool, make what mandate you must. Mortal men were given no great strength by the good God, and you shall not steal from the seed Baith, she who belongs to our blood and that above. By magic we have made her ours, matron of the lands of lost light, until the last horn sounds and the sundering sea sinks creation. Weak is your blood which you would use to take arms against our awesome magic, and stupid to stride into shadow lands wearing the jewel bearing the magic Baith taught the dawn flower. Think you that we never needed our daughter to know happiness in our home, hoping to hear her laughter? Languishing now, she is locked away from time, not to be taken away from us, ruling over us with righteous reasoning. Run from this place, make peace with the power which created all things. Come here no more, else I will imprison you in stone. She began to sing in a strange tongue, and the ground beneath Domhnall opened and swallowed him whole. Rocks battered him from every side as he was dragged through the earth by a hand unseen. The glowing roots of the trees and vines above him snared him. Tossed and twisted, he was pulled in different directions. His shield was broken, and his sword fell from his fingers. He could not breathe as the stone covered him entire. When he felt he could stand the punishment no longer, and his lungs felt ready to burst from the need to breathe, he was thrown free of the ground, the earth closing behind him. He retched and bled. Bent over in the clearing, he tried to catch his breath. Breathing, shaking, he stood up to see the Baith watching him still, and so he stood to face them, though his muscles were bruised and weak. The Baith witch spoke. Fool, we have harmed one we love, we know this, but it was done that the dwellers of the dark forest be not forgotten in the light of the faith which has come at last to the lands we loved. We weep for what we have done, but it was right to spare our removal by the rule of righteous souls. Search yourself and see what you shall part with to partake in the rare potion of victory. How certain are you of your convictions? Domhnall, unsteady, searched himself and discovered on his belt a knife, which was all that remained of his arms. Breathing heavily, he took it by the handle and knelt down, resting his left hand on his leg. Half mad, He cut clean through his wrist, the hand falling to the earth limp, blood flowing freely from him. He gave a great cry which shook the leaves of the trees, echoing deep into the unknown gloaming. The Baith stepped back, startled, their red eyes watching the blood pool from his arm, covering the golden grass and splattering onto the mound. His voice, ragged, broke. The youth spoke to them. This is how far I will go to see that every Eolish-born child lives free of pain and tyranny. I shall take great care of those above, but here below there is one Eolish soul who suffers. A kind soul, she is imprisoned here with strange magic by her people, and they never have to learn what it is to die. All my people know that pain, watching those they love fall beyond the veil. Her captors will one day know that pain. I give my left hand for her, that you know my conviction. I cannot defeat you, not in this place, but I will discover the means to free her. His breath came quicker, and his sight began to turn black. He felt himself grow weak, but he did not fear, for he had faith. The Baith witch began to sing once more, but those words held no harshness in them. A sprig rose from the blood, golden as all other things in the realm of the Baith, and as it grew, leaves and flowers sprang from it and circled around him. Light vines crawled over his legs, and the flowers grew there. Vines climbed his back, and the leaves followed. They wove across his skin and reached his left hand, where a great flower grew, its petals staining themselves in the blood. At once the pain was gone, and the wound closed. The vines grew brittle and broke away from him, and Domhnall stood without trouble. The Baith were retreating, some already vanished into the trees, and the witch stood in the gold light, halfway in fading when she began a third song. Great roots burst, seizing him and pulling him under, the clearing closing above, but this time he was not thrown roughly, and he did not want for air. Soon he heard a rumbling as a large stone was moved away. Grey fog came rolling in, as before him grew a light, and the white light of the Arel Siloin Isla Okoro dimmed. Vines which held him pushed him through the door, which snapped shut behind him. Domhnall was once again in the barrows which surrounded the hill of Hala, having come to the green of Ioland through the How of Neola. The fogs were heavy. Twisting shapes rolled just beyond his vision. Daring not to rest in that land, lest he anger the dead so deserving of rest, he stumbled wearily to the edge of the mists, taking care that he not step on any barrows. The fog stopped suddenly and rolled no further. Domhnall was beyond the downs and into the land of the sun. Tired beyond words, he laid down there and rested. He awoke to the moonrise. Full it looked down upon the island. Domhnall did not move, though he felt rested. Long he watched the moon rise through her domain, listening to the breath of the wind and the sound of the crickets in the grass, admiring the world he lived in, the creation and the high Telach which ruled it. Though weakened by the wars men fought over the earth, the rule of Ilulian endured still. Domhnall thought on how he could strengthen her reign, though no power of his strength would free her. Long he watched the moon, until as she fell, he heard sounds of pain moving through the land. It was a band of warriors marching, on their lips cruel songs, and the clash of their arms their instruments, while other voices moaned from their wounds. Hidden in the grasses, the youth listened to them. Their leader spoke, and the music died. We have taken what we wanted from these pitiful people, who slaughtered our fathers when they were offered the sweet fruits of the land. We will not be denied, for we do not wait for others to give us what we want. This time they fought well and wounded many of us, but while their iron can bite our flesh, they could not bite fire. Oh, how I enjoyed their screams as the fire of our cruel gods consumed them. How sweet that those who refused our desire found reward in the flames. We must skirt this place, for the fog that lays here will kill us. Give it a wide berth as we return to the cave we have made our home, returning our great treasure. Soon we will have taken enough from this vile island that we will be revenged for what they did to us. When we have, we shall leave this isle with all the treasure and wives we have taken, and the sweet joys of our victory ever in our minds. Come and do not set foot in the fog." The band resumed their music as they marched away, and the youth was left alone in the grasses, watching the moon fall from the heavens. Dawn came, and with it he rose to search for his companions, finding them not far from where he had lay. They jumped with joy of reunion, and hurried to see that he was well, lamenting the loss of his hand and demanding to know what had given him the wound. He promised to tell them the story, but after the deeds which remained were done. In their number was another. The brave warrior Storlath stood among them. She stood proud before him, but there were scars of battle which she did not have before, and she spoke in measured speech. "You have come far in the years since last we met, as have I. I am here so far from the mountains which I love so, because not long ago a number of warriors came to the Isle Kelrose looking for the spear which you made. Egil spoke of how he betrayed me and told a king of the powerful weapon waiting at the heart of the mountain. He sent his warriors, and though I gave battle and fell many, these warriors were of a kind that they shrugged off my arrows as stinging flies. They came quickly and left with their prize soon after. This spear, tipped in darkness, is a terrible thing to let free over the isle. You created it, and thus you will aid me in returning it to the mountains, where none can use the cancerous ichor to wound." She spoke quickly, and as she did, Egil looked on sheepishly, chastised by the woman from the mountains. When she finished speaking, the youth gave his answer. "You are right to blame me. I did create the black-headed spear when I cleaned the river which ran from those mountains in time long past. I will aid you in your need, but I ask first that you come with me. I am Teloch of desperate people and must see their needs before my own. I have discovered where these unseen bears which harm our land do sleep, and we will go there at once to end this terror, granting the High Teloch some ease. From there we will begin our battles against he who wields the spear and claims false mastery over the isle. Come with us to war, and you will see your task complete." He spared no time looking back, but began immediately following after the band. His companions gathered their camp quickly and followed after. Domhnall had no blade or shield, but he would not take those which were offered to him, telling his friends that he would soon receive both. They crossed the Aglach Telocha, heading not to the Isle Melach, where he knew his foe to be, but to the hilltop where the few Amach Es did still dwell. The band approached, but were told by a voice unseen to halt. Domhnall spoke back to the hillside in a voice loud and imploring. "We will wait here, for there is no reason why we should anger the bitter spears of the Amach Es, of warrior blood true. But we do ask that our words be heard by the fathers of your people, for we have much which concerns them. I am Domhnall, son of Sherday and Ioland, and am the first to name himself Teloch since the coming of the sea warriors. Those I rule are few, and the land I rule little, but I wage war against the foemen, unceasing. I have come here today to give you hope, for though she is in pain and locked away by the magic of the Baith, I know that Ilulian Finowin, daughter of your blood and true High Teloch of Ioland, lives on still. She suffers for her people, but does good works in the land where she might, though she and her magic are often restricted by the laws laid upon her. I ask not for your fealty. I do not claim your people or demand tribute. All I ask for is a blade and a shield, for I am without. In this hour I pursue those foes which do sow such horror upon our land, beasts given to theft and slaughter. Arm me, brave warriors who have always stood against the darkness, and I shall hold myself in your debt. I beg you to do this for the dream which once was Ioland." The hilltop was silent, and his companions began to doubt that he would receive any succor from the people who had long turned their backs to the world. But Domhnall told them to wait, and so they spent the day there. The sun was falling when from the hill came walking 10 warriors, brave spears held by 5 men and 5 women, and when they reached Domhnall and his friends they spoke. "Hail to the blood which remembers still the world it was born into. The fathers of Amach Es have heard you and have decided to grant your wish and more. This sword was made this day by the greatest of our smiths, so sharp that it will fell any oak before an axe. It is our gift to you for your knowledge of our kin. We wish to see her, having long known that the blood of the good King Malach failed. Joy unlooked for has come to us this day. You asked not for fealty, and shall not receive it. Yet we will fight beside you against this darkness which ravages the land. What it has done to Ioland is a horror. Our spears are all that the fathers could spare from the defense of our people. We will go with you and follow all commands set to us. But when we stand victorious, we will leave and return to our home. Let us not wait any longer. There is battle to give." Domhnall thanked them for their gifts and their friendship. He named his sword Good Gift and treasured it. They left the hill of the Amach Es quickly, headed east to the proud peaks of the Isle Meloch. Night fell as they arrived in the mountains, and they made camp. As the others sat about the fire, eating and talking long into the night, the youth rested, recovering still from the land of the Baith. He dreamed vivid dreams, of a river and a swamp, of iron striking wood, of a turn in the tide, of a seed planted long ago taking root and breaking free of the soil which covered it. The tree grew and grew, green shoots turned to brown bark, which began to blow softly in the wind as the tree entire began to shape itself into the figure of a man, his hair kept in a close-cut tonsure, and his face like that of a hawk. He looked at Domhnall and spoke in a rasping voice. "Remember always that to lead is to labor for your fellows, for to take that which you desire, to take prime pick of the spoils, is to betray those who won alongside you. I lived in a land far from here, where winters are almost mild, and summer lasts for many months. Orphaned at a young age, I was raised by the good brothers of the church, and rose to high place. Hard was my labor for my fellows, sleeping only 4 hours of the night, that I could do so much for them. My dearest friend rose beside me, and was chosen for the sacred circle which does advise the most supreme voice in all the world. Soon he was chosen to be that voice, and he ruled over all the faithful. Yet to stand with no man above you can cause pride to grow where before it had not taken root. He gave to me an abbey of my own, and while at first I used my strength to aid my fellows, as I had all my life, soon I felt I had given plenty to them, and they would give their time to help me. I began dipping my hand in the coffers and giving myself to sloth and other vices. An apple may grow on a tree for many months, entire and whole, yet when it begins to turn it does so in a single day, and the tree is forced to discard it at once. I was such an apple. I became rotten as my friends in the holiest holies did the same. Yet I was fortunate, for the vices which my friend gave himself unto were his undoing. Within 3 years he was dead, and another was chosen to take his place. The new voice had no love for me, and sent his agents to investigate my deeds. But this never happened. When they arrived, I told them that I resigned my position and desired to go to the furthest corner of the earth to begin my penitence. They sent me to Scarmeline, while a friend of the new Holy Father took my place and began his road of sins. On that distant isle there was nothing for me to desire except the well-being of my own soul. Arturo the Penitent I was called, and I lived many years on the Grey Isle with good men for whom I labored hard until the darkness came. Remember always that you have been chosen to lead them, to stand ever before them as a shining example of what a man can be. And if you fall, then they shall fall in after you. Remember that you were appointed by the good God to care for them." Dawn came stealing over the mountain peaks, and Domhnall roused his companions. That day would be one of blood. Their blades sharpened, shields readied, they set off to search the slopes for the home of the beasts, walking at mountain's edge that they might see cave's mouth, while Sorlath ran into the mountains to search higher. Difficult was the task, and slow was their going, yet they knew their foe lay near. The sun was midway through her fall, when smoke was seen rising from the mountains. The warriors rushed there. The cave mouth was large, and the stream of smoke curling from there was thick and black. Egil began to quiver, telling them that the cave was not that which they desired, but the lair of a dragon, which his people feared even beyond bears. Domhnall told them not to fear, for he had faced a dragon before and knew it would not harm the faithful. He placed his companions about the cave mouth. He would enter alone, and if a dragon did dwell there, he would face it and return victorious. But if it was their foe, he would lure them out of the cave and into the waiting spears set. The brothers asked to go with him, but he refused. Far better it was to risk fewer in the face of a dragon. He readied himself and went into the cave. At once the stench of death was on him, rot and misery. Deep below in the twisting darkness came the sounds of metal and pain, and some small part of him wished that he was not returning to dark lands of death, but that the others take this duty for him. He banished his thought quickly. He had chosen many times to fight against the darkness that his people be not destroyed by it. Deeper and deeper he went, until light seemed a distant memory, and the foul air churned his stomach with each breath. He pulled from beneath his mail the stone, which came from the peaks he was under, and free of his armor, the Arel Siloin Isla Okaro began to shine in the darkness, its pure light dispelling his fears and penetrating even the rolling smoke above him. With its light he followed the sounds of pain. Suddenly the cave opened up into a great room, the dead littering the floor. Domhnall alone moved. Blood stained the walls, and white bones caught the light. Maggots and flies clung tight to flesh which remained, a field of horrors. Across the room the smoke poured through a small opening, and from there the screams came, harsh laughter cutting across it. Domhnall crossed the room, taking care not to tread on the dead and brushing away the flies which circled him until he stood at the hole. He took the Arel Siloin Isla Okoro from his neck and hung it into the smoke, that it lit it as a pillar of holy light. At once the laughter below ceased, and the crying below lessened. Domhnall gave a shout, and in a deep voice which carried through the cave he spoke. "Here at last are the demons, the cave bears, the men given to such unspeakable depravities. Long has justice searched for you. Though in my hand I have but one blade, I am sure that by day's end none of you shall be living, and those you harm and humiliate shall live in peace all their days." Then he began to sing a hymn, taught to him by the good monk Gregory so long ago, and it sounded to the needy as soothing water, but to the wicked it was terrible as the sea enraged. Slowly he began to leave that place, singing the hymn as he went, and far below he could hear as the warriors gathered their arms to come to battle. When he reached the cave's mouth, he could hear them coming up the dark paths toward the light. He commanded his warriors to stand on the sides, unseen from within, as he stood away in full view of the cave. The warriors came, blackened by soot and stained in blood, their blades chipped and ran red. At their head was Crauken Biter. They poured from the cave, ready for the blood of one who had discovered them, but as soon as they stepped into the light, they were set upon by the bitter spears waiting for them. The Amach S struck the unsuspecting Deona with well-placed strikes, as the brothers and Egil with dancing swords cut them. Sorlath loosed arrows with such speed that the Daona came stumbling from the cave already wounded. Only Crauchen Biter had escaped the cave without wounds, and against him the youth quickly came, good gift drawn. The practised spears of the Amach-es closed the mouth of the cave as the brothers and Egil slew the wounded. From there the spears advanced down the tunnel. None feared a dragon, but were eager to destroy the darkness which had plagued the land. Under their advancing spears the cowards were destroyed. Domhnall brought his sword against the beast king, a man so cruel he had forgotten what it was to be a man. So swiftly was the first blow delivered after the trap was sprung that the king could not raise his shield quickly enough, and took a wound to his side, his own blood staining him. Yet he was still strong, and long years of cruelty had given him to madness that the wounds of his body were nothing to him. His small axe battered reply against the youth's, the blows like hammers. Without his hand to hold tight the shield straps, it was jarred by the blows and began to come loose. No respite did he receive from the whirling axe of Crauchen, the years of violence well spent in building his strength and his need for death, the wood of the youth's shield weakening beneath every strike. Domhnall tried to swing his sword against his foe, but Crauchen would twist away before bringing again dark blade crashing down against Domhnall. Despair began to grow in the youth as he struggled against the fury, weakened as he was from his travels through the lands of the Baith, and perhaps he would have been defeated in the battle had it not been for Sorlath, who let fly an arrow which struck clean through Crauchen's thigh and clattered to the ground. A moment of reprieve, Domhnall shook free his shield, and went against his foe with the sword good gift alone. Crauchen regained his footing and stood, gnashing his teeth, blood flowing freely from him. Remembering well his wounds against the berserker, Domhnall came close, wary of the swiftness of the axe, and as Crauchen swung he avoided its falling by ducking under the blade. Before the fearsome king could swing his axe again, Domhnall swung his sword good gift in a wide strike too close for the Daona king to raise his shield in time. Back leapt the wounded king, but with his leg so wounded and a deep cut in his side, he did not manage to escape the strike. Good gift raked him across his neck, not so deep as to reach the throat, but enough to cut the skin. Shocked at the nearness of the blow and feeling his wounds for the first time, Crauchen only then learned that he was a living thing, flesh and blood which could be broken, and he began to fear. His strikes became slow and cautious, his eyes not focused on the blade of his foe, but on his flight, darting over the rocks as he searched for a path away from battle. Distracted, his blow went wide of its mark, and the youth severed his arm with a single stroke. Crauchen fell to the earth and did not stir. For good measure, the youth plunged good gift into his heart. Then he went to see how the battle in the cave fared. His companions had killed every member of the dark band, bringing to end the Ergodan Resturton, the third cloud of the storm. Into the deepest part of the cave they went, revolted by the cruelty they found inside, and climbing down a ladder which went through the chimney hole, they found a greater hole, where prisoners were kept in chains, blood on every surface. A great fire roared in the center, and in the corners of the room were great piles of treasure which the Ergodan Resturton had taken from the land. It was horror. From the cave they took all they found, laying the treasure on the mountainside and giving those they found food and water. Domhnall promised to them that they would keep them safe, or else, if they desired, they might take a portion of the treasure and search for some quiet place to live. They chose to remain with him. He then spoke to those gathered. This day has seen a wound long festering on this isle healed. May these terrors never be seen in this earth again. Now comes the hour when we declare ourselves openly again in our land, and make war upon that king which rules over Ioland. We will break him and weather the storm of Malach, that those born in years from now shall never know our pain. Turning to the mountain, he spoke these words in but a whisper. Ilulian Finowin, water and ice, summer and winter, hearth and home, leaf and branch, stone and wind, darkness and life, seal now this cave before me, close inside and bury them who have died there, and see it as a mound for them. The earth shook and the cave collapsed, sealing inside forever those who had died there. Together, the living returned to camp. End. Book 17. The Ring of Dane Thardwine was written and performed by Michael Frutig. If you have enjoyed this episode, please consider supporting the project on Patreon. Supporters get text files of each chapter, as well as access to Q&A posts, other writing projects, such as flash fiction and chapters of other works. Go to patreon.com/michaelfrutig for more. patreon.com/MICHAELFRUTIG. Thank you.